Okay, so I was in the middle of watching this truly horrid, amazing digital circus overview, and I just have to say, like, it is so awful that the majority of the people who consume YouTube content are like these soy lib shit, analyzing everything for political meaning, like, type of people. And it's even worse that the creators are at this point self-aware that these are the people who they're catering to. So when they're creating their story in their heads, they're passing it through the filter of how are these people going to interpret it. And those people having some sort of self-awareness about this being the case kind of creates like this feedback loop of endless like woke slop. Like, I think there is honestly a lot of value in the story of Jax just being this horrible, fucking awful boy motor who is a dick to everybody, never productively let out his true feelings, and then died like that. And I think the story is really kind of a hopeful hell, and it really shows the different kind of perspectives you can have about being trapped in this type of, situation where they're obviously all just little digital programs with some semblance of human consciousness and memories of being alive in a real human world. And seeing as Jax and Pomni are the main characters, it's like, also the fact that like the audience was dumb enough to the point where Gooseworks had to go on her fucking social media and say the reason why these characters are getting the most time is because they're the main characters and the story focuses around them. So what the story tells is really the character drama of these two characters being surrounded by other people reacting in different ways as they try to interact with, the different ongoings and kind of get settled in their new home. So the two paths can be either Pomni, where you spend your time productively and try to help and uplift the people around you, even at a detriment to yourself when trying to help someone like Jax, who is just a total, for lack of a better word, like menace to society, where he's going to spend all of his time trying to play this character and entertain himself by just absolutely torturing the people around him. Like, I think this is honestly the outcome that Jax wanted, and it's pretty clear in the story too, where when he's talking to Pomni, he gives her that whole speech about how he thinks everyone's just an archetype, and he doesn't really believe that they're human, and eventually he faces the consequences of his actions, fails to cope, fails to reach out, even though he's given ample opportunities by everyone else in the circus, who is just endlessly forgiving, and goes to the grave, just repressing his true feelings. And this is just, honestly, like, this is just the honest depiction of 41% of trans, I don't know if the statistic is just trans women, but of trans people, where they are stuck in this hell of a situation where they feel like they embody the soul of a gender that they were not assigned at birth, and they make these superficial attempts to maybe work around this, distract themselves from it, or just superficially change their appearance to more adequately suit the way they feel, which we don't quite get to see Jax do. His strategy is more so to repress, but one way or another, it always for the most part, ends the same way in death, and Jax just dies. And Gooseworks, obviously, as a trans person, shows us two different representations of how these kind of situations can end, with one where it's Zubo, and even though she has an unlimited supply of body parts to change out, eventually she just has to settle on the fact that even though she doesn't love any one of the body parts she can pick out, she can just be happy with the fact that she doesn't have to settle for one thing, and can keep trying, and can spend time being affirmed by the people around her. Whereas Jax, obviously, as I just said, is just going to be in hell forever. And the reality is that because of the woke soy audience that's consuming this, they really wouldn't ever embody that perspective, because they only see trans people as a product of their environment. And yet, the contradiction is that Jax's environment is so endlessly supportive and grateful for his sheer presence, and all he would have to do was just face a little scrutiny from them and being completely honest about his emotions. And despite all that, despite being in the perfect environment, he still chooses to be a piece of shit and commit suicide at the worst moment possible, even. And, that really just speaks to the trans experience. It, honestly, even though right-wing Fortran Twitter had a field day with this situation portrayed in the show, it's just honestly it's just the truth of the situation. Whether it can be cured or not, gender dysphoria is a real mental illness, just like it would be if you decided that your body was inadequate in any other way, where like you thought you had too many limbs and you wanted to cut one of them off really bad. Where that would be viewed as mentally ill, because transness is this Jewish trick against white people who often have this sort of autistic hatred for themselves, and it's to let it manifest in gender dysphoria and tell them that the solution is just a transition, effectively lowering the birth rate even more than it already was. And yeah, that was just kind of my thoughts. I think the creator Gooseworks has actually made a really, really excellent piece of art that has, entertained hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people for 3 years, sold a ton of merch, and put indie animation on the map. I mean, I'm sure the future projects that are going to come from the precedent that Gooseworks set is just going to be unending. And yeah, overall, I think it was an excellent story, and I'm very excited to see if Gooseworks or Glitch are going to make any more good series, because the one with the what's it called? When I'm trying to think of the yellow cat character from Gamerverse, literally the only thing that comes to my mind is like Rape Doll. Like even Gooseworks said, she should have made her show way hornier. But I hope one day great art will come again, because I think Digital Circus was definitely great art, and I've put it on the background a ton of times while getting fucked by guys, which I think is where it belongs. And yeah.